I wasn't his wife. I was just the perfect cover. While he raised his other family, 30 minutes away. I always knew something was off, but I didn't want to be that wife. Suspicious, neurotic, the kind who tracks flights and checks texts over shoulders. I prided myself on trust. That's what relationships are built on, right? I'm 34. I've worked as a marketing coordinator in Denver for almost a decade. Stable job, stable life, stable marriage, or so I thought. My husband, Derek, is 38, a consultant in logistics, which basically means his job is so vague that it's easy to just nod when he says, "I'll be in Chicago Tuesday to Thursday for the Ballantine account." I never really questioned it. He packed light, always left the night before, kept trip reminders synced to his work calendar like clockwork. It became part of our rhythm. Him gone during the week, back Friday night, weekend brunch, Netflix, laundry like a normal couple. But 2 weekends ago it changed. It was Saturday morning. I had a headache and just wanted cereal, but we were out of milk. I threw on sweats, tossed my hair in a bun, and drove to this little organic market about 20 minutes from our house. It's not even where we usually shop, but it was on the way back from Starbucks. I wasn't even really looking around. I had one AirPod in, scrolling through a grocery list on my phone, when something familiar caught my eye between the cereal and snack aisle. It was the way he reached for something on the top shelf, just a casual movement, but I recognized it instantly. The shape of his hand, the stance. My stomach dropped before my brain even caught up, and then he laughed. Full-on, flirty laugh. The kind I hadn't heard directed at me in years. And it wasn't just him. He was with a woman. Blonde. Pretty. Maybe late 20s, early 30s. Holding a little girl with curls, so bouncy they looked fake, like a storybook kid. They looked so natural. So normal. Like a family. I ducked behind an end cap of granola bars, so fast I knocked one off the shelf. My heart was pounding, palms sweating. I peeked around as they walked by. Him pushing the cart, the woman holding his arm, the little girl asking something about cookies. I stared after them, frozen. I couldn't make sense of it. Derek was supposed to be in Phoenix that weekend. He even sent me a goodnight text the night before with some fake hotel lamp in the background. And here he was, 20 minutes from our house, with a woman and a child, laughing. I didn't confront him. I couldn't. Instead, I left the store and sat in my car for a long time with all the air knocked out of me. When he texted me later that night, "Miss you, babe. Boarded late. Talk tomorrow." I didn't reply. I wanted proof. I wanted to be sure I wasn't losing my mind. That I wasn't spinning a story out of some bizarre look-alike and a guilty conscience. So I followed him. Not in the dramatic movie-stalking way. I was subtle. I told him I had a 3-day training at a remote retreat. No phones allowed. Something they'd offered last quarter that I had turned down, but now seemed like the perfect excuse. The next time Derek said he was flying out, I stayed home. And watched. I tracked his phone through our shared iCloud, something we set up years ago and then forgot about. He never thought I'd check it. He turned off his location services when he was gone, but forgot about his MacBook at home, which synced every iMessage. The night he said he was flying to San Diego, he drove instead. Just 25 minutes southeast. To a townhouse in Aurora. That same woman from the store came out to greet him with a kiss. The little girl ran into his arms yelling, "Daddy." And that was it. That was the moment it all broke. He wasn't just cheating. He had another life. Another freaking life. I sat in my car 2 blocks away, hand over my mouth, whole body shaking. They went inside, lights flicked on. I watched shadow figures move behind the curtains, warm, domestic shapes. Dinner being made. Someone dancing in the kitchen. Her. Him. All those consulting trips. All those out-of-town conferences, they were just to spend time with them. And I was the other woman. The decoy. The cover. I didn't cry right away. I didn't even scream. I just went numb. I watched for 3 more days. Same routine. He brought the kid to daycare Tuesday morning and visited a gym after. Not the one near our house, no. One close to their place. Picked the kid up in the evening. Made dinner. I took photos. Videos. I screen-recorded messages syncing to his laptop. There were entire text threads with her, inside jokes, reminders to buy eggs, arguments about screen time. Like a real, full marriage happening parallel to mine. He still messaged me too, from hotels he wasn't in. "I miss your body. Client dinner ran late. Call you when I crash." When he finally came home that Friday night, I was sitting on the couch, TV off, drink untouched. He kissed the top of my head like he always did and threw his keys into the bowl by the door, like nothing was different. But I was different now. And I had a choice. Burn it all to the ground, or play the long game. I didn't sleep much that weekend. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that little girl's face. It's strange. I wasn't angry at her or even the woman. I was pissed at Derek, sure, but more than anything, I felt erased. Like someone had taken a Sharpie to my life and started doodling in the margins, pretending I didn't exist. I kept playing our marriage backward in my head like a film reel. Did he start this before we got married? Were all the client dinners just bedtime stories for his other family? Suddenly, memories I cherished felt like lies dressed up with good lighting. I didn't confront him that weekend either. I acted like I always did. Smile, kiss, ask about his trip. I laughed in all the right places, even let him undress me Sunday night without flinching. I was an actress in my own life, and terrifyingly good at it. Because now I had a plan. See, Derek thought he was handling 2 lives. But what he didn't know was that I just started writing the ending to both. The first thing I did was go to a lawyer. Quietly. Found one who specialized in high-asset divorce and infidelity cases. Brought everything. The synced messages, the photos, timestamps, even some hotel receipts that contradicted the ones he gave me. "Do you want to file now?" she asked. "No," I said. "Not yet." Because Derek doesn't just cheat. Derek hides. He's a planner, a manipulator, the kind of man who builds lies like IKEA furniture. Snug, functional, and easy to overlook unless you know what you're looking for. So if I filed then, he would have slithered out of it. Hidden money, deleted data, maybe even twisted it to make it look consensual. I needed to know how deep this went, how far it stretched. And, I'll admit it, I wanted him to suffer a little. Not in the theatrical, revenge flick way. No, I wanted him to squirm. To be exposed. Quietly. Elegantly. To realize just how badly he underestimated me. So I played the doting wife. Over the next 3 weeks, I made his favorite meals. I restocked his protein bars and ironed his shirts before his trips. I even faked interest in this new project he swore was going to take him to Atlanta for a month, faked it so well that he practically gloated. That same week, I scheduled a consultation with the other woman. Not as me, of course. She was a freelance early childhood therapist offering Zoom sessions for parents. That's how she advertised herself. Gentle parenting, balanced homes. Jesus. I used a fake name, set up a dummy email account, posed as a new single mom needing support. She was kind, warm. She had laugh lines and fatigue under her eyes, but a softness in her voice that I didn't expect. And I hated that I liked her. For half the session, I listened to her talk about emotional regulation strategies for toddlers while I sat there thinking, you stole my life. Or maybe I was the one intruding on yours. Either way, you're in my house and you don't even know it. I ended the session and cried for an hour afterward. Because I realized something. She probably had no idea. I thought about telling her. Letting the truth wreck her the way it wrecked me. But then I thought about the kid. That little girl with her dad's jawline and her mom's curls. She didn't ask for any of this. Derek did this. Not her. Not the woman. Him. So I shifted my plan. Instead of blowing it up publicly, I started untangling our finances. I skimmed through his credit card statements, found strange Venmo transfers labeled dog walker when we don't even have a dog. Deposits into an account I never knew he had. I pulled every string. I saved screenshots, forwarded emails to my hidden account. I even found a copy of a lease, his name and hers, on the townhouse. Dated 4 years ago. 4. We'd been married 6. That night, a part of me finally hardened. Whatever sympathy I had left for him cracked and crumbled. The man I loved was already gone. Maybe he never existed. I moved in silence for 2 more weeks. Set up a separate bank account. Hired a forensic accountant. My lawyer started drafting papers with a strategy so airtight Derek would need a crowbar to pry his life back. And then came the quiet revenge. The Friday night before his Atlanta trip, I made reservations at his favorite steakhouse. Told him I had a surprise for our anniversary weekend and watched guilt twitch at the corners of his mouth like static. He tried to say he'd be out of town. I told him to cancel. Playfully. Beggingly. Just like the old me would have done. He did. That night, I handed him a wrapped box over dessert. Inside was a memory book I made. Photos from our marriage, little notes between us, receipts from vacations, love letters, even an old movie stub from our first date. At the very back, I tucked one last photo. It was him, outside the townhouse, holding that little girl. And under it, just 6 words in my handwriting. How long were you going to lie? His face drained completely. He looked up at me, and for the first time in our entire marriage, Derek had no words. Just silence. Tight, breathless silence. I stood up, smiled, and said calmly, "You're going to sign everything I send, or this book becomes very, very public." His hands shook as he reached for his drink. I could see the panic bloom behind his eyes like ink in water. If he'd been a better liar, I might have hesitated. But instead, I walked out, heels clicking across the floor, past couples clinking glasses, heart thudding like a war drum in my chest. Because I wasn't broken anymore. I was free. What came next changed everything for me, not just about Derek, but about myself. The moment I walked out of that restaurant, it was like I shed a second skin I didn't even know I'd been wearing. The docile wife. The woman who always made room for his absences. The partner who tried not to ask too many questions because she wanted to believe. I didn't wait for a reaction from him after that night. He didn't call right away. I think he was scrambling, probably calling her, trying to secure accounts, praying I wouldn't go nuclear. But I didn't need to go nuclear. I went intelligent. My lawyer sent him the papers on Monday. Full divorce. Fault-based. Citing adultery supported by overwhelming documentation. It'll sound cold, but I made sure he walked away from our marriage with nothing he didn't absolutely need. No alimony. A clean split of community assets, minus the 40% he funneled into their secret suburban nest. He begged for a meeting. Not over the phone. In person. I agreed. Neutral territory. A coffee shop in Capitol Hill, wide open, daytime. I sat down in jeans and a hoodie, hair back, no makeup. Not trying to look impressive, just present. He looked older. In 1 week, the lie had aged him. I didn't mean for it to start this way, he began. You have to believe that. It was complicated. I didn't respond. I let him talk. I met her before we got married, he admitted. We lost touch. Then a year later, she said she was pregnant. I didn't know if it was mine. We weren't even exclusive when we saw each other. But then she had the baby and I just kept helping. I didn't want her to be alone. So you gave her your name on a lease, I said quietly, and built a household with her behind mine. She didn't know about you, he said, eyes surprisingly wet. She thought I was single. And you, well, you had your own life. I blinked. My own life. Derek, I was your wife. We filed taxes together. My body was on birth control for 8 years because I thought we'd have kids when everything was ready. I thought I could manage it, he mumbled. No, you thought I would never find out. It was pathetic, watching him crumble. There was no righteous rage, no furious explaining. He was just a hollow man caught in a web he spun too wide. I asked if he loved either of us. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. In the weeks following, I went completely no contact. I moved into a small apartment downtown with big windows and crooked floors. The kind of place that made everything feel temporary, but in the best way. Like I was allowed to change now. Allowed to decide what I wanted without factoring anyone else into the equation. He signed everything quietly, probably hoping it would go away. And I kept my promise. I never made it public. Never contacted the woman. Never outed him in front of their daughter. I figured reality would eventually do the job for me. But one day, months later, I got a message request on Facebook. Her name. Just her first message. I know everything now. I'm so sorry. I froze. Didn't respond. She added a minute later. If I had known. I swear I would have walked away. That night I cried. But not because I was sad. It was something more complicated. Something like grief mixed with relief. The truth had finally caught him. Not because I chased it, but because lies decay over time. When you hide 2 lives, eventually, one infects the other. It's been almost a year now. I see things differently. I've started dating again, carefully, slowly. Not looking for someone to fix me, but someone who sees me. Sometimes, I still wonder if that little girl misses him. If she's confused. If she ever asks why Daddy stopped coming home 2 days a week. But that's not my mistake to fix. Derek built a world where everything he touched was a disguise. He thought love meant compartments. He thought women were puzzle pieces, swappable, silent, willing to wait for him to make up his mind. He'll spend the rest of his life trying to keep those compartments from collapsing. But me? I'm good. I'm not just free. I'm whole, maybe for the first time.